we're going to get started with, we have two ensembles, and I'd like to introduce a Castillero alum. We have Miguel here, who's, he came to Castillero and more than a few years ago at this point. And I was a young teacher and he was in the band, and now he's been teaching and leading a program himself, and he and Mr. Bowman know each other quite well, and thought, well, let's combine forces and let's see how that works, and let's give my kids this experience as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the microphone back so that if Miguel would like to say a word or two, he can, but while I'm finding the easiest pathway to the sea of humans, you might all clap vigorously for Miguel. Please welcome him to the stage.
So much. Hello. I did not prepare a speech. Yes, the process of this was to educate all of our students, especially my school, LeyVa Middle School. I'm looking for building relationships with students. This is my second year at that school. So building relationships, community, as well as providing opportunities that I had when I was at Castillero. And I've been so fortunate to be able to work with Mr. Bowman, both as a student teacher and as now a colleague, where we perform and conduct with each other all the time. And I pick up his kids sometimes, actually. So we have such a great relationship, and we decided to combine forces. That way we have different perspectives of how different schools are operating. Of course, Castillero being a performing arts magnet, there's a certain aura around this school about how students collect themselves and how supported the arts are, versus my school where we're still building up a program and just combining those two worlds and seeing how they work. So we're gonna play two pieces for you. First one is called Hidden Wonders, which I will conduct. The second one is called Zooveniers, which Mr. Bowman will conduct. And I'm just gonna stop talking and start conducting.
There we go. All right. Thank you, Mr. Ledezma. I want to try to find my way through this sea of humanity now, too. We've been doing our MegaFestival of Awesomeness. I was trying to figure out with Mr. K. We're not really sure, so I just told all my coaches it was the 25th annual. That's because, yeah, can't be because I'm not even 25, but we've been doing this for, I don't know, I think 13-ish years now. And we started it because we wanted to have a festival for these, our intermediate, first, second, third year players. There wasn't one of those pay-to-play festivals that you go to and just get a 5-minute clinic and a trophy, and maybe he said all that stuff. But it's cool. This is the first time we've ever brought somebody else in with us that we've combined with schools. And Mr. K and I were talking, and next year we probably need to plan a little more together time, because 5 minutes before we ran on stage was the first time we're like, okay, everybody cram together and figure out how to do this and play. And there's nothing quite like live music. So it's a good opportunity for these kiddos, because my kids are in their kind of normal spot, but they're sitting next to people they're not used to. They've got a sea of these things in front of them. And we've just got a whole different, everything's different about this performance. So it's a good opportunity for everybody here to move their music stands so they're between you and me. And practice looking at, practice doing all those things. They just had these wonderful clinics, and I heard all good things from the coaches, and that was fantastic. The kids seemed to have a good time, but it's so much different than sitting in a large ensemble and playing. So this next piece we're going to do, and like Mr. K said, it was fun to have Mr. Ledezma, Miguel, back up here and have him, conducting. He's just, he's an awesome human and an even better educator. So it's really cool to see him go full circle from the 14-year-old that I met, 3 years ago, it seems like, to now, the full-fledged trombonist and teacher that's here working alongside me. But our last piece, Zooveniers, is a whole bunch of little vignettes. You're supposed to experience a day at the zoo. So it starts with little zoo openings. I'm like, oh, we're excited, we're going to the zoo. And then each little step along the way, there's like the birdhouse. And so you'll hear some pretty little like woodwind fluty stuff. And we're not going to play all of them because we just didn't have the time to put them all together, but there's a carousel, so you get a little waltz, feel like you're riding up and down on the horsies. And the elephants, we'll do that one for sure because the brass really like to sound bad, and now they get to. So now they get to make all sorts of fun, they get to sound like elephants. So hopefully you'll hear these different things. There's a primate pavilion, so you'll hear the big, glorious apes coming through. But you'll see all these little stops, and then it ends, which we won't actually do. We didn't get to work out the ending, but the zoo exit is like a recap of it all, but you're tired at the end, so you have to stop every few bars and take a rest. So it's a really cute, kind of kitschy little piece, but if you come to either my end of the year concert or probably Mr. Ledezma's, you'll probably hear the whole rendition of those things once we've had more than a week and a half or whatever to work on these. So we're going to play a few little excerpts from Zooveniers for you. So if you hear some starts and stops, that's why, because we're switching between all those little exhibits. So hope you enjoy Zooveniers. The last thing in there, like I said, is the Zoom exit, and we just didn't get that as a group, so we're going to end it on a very strange note. But here's Mr. K.
All right, as we go into the orchestra here, this is the Indigo Orchestra. I think it's fun. They've been sitting for a little while, so we're going to have them stand for different reasons. If you're a 6th grader in Indigo, would you please stand up for a moment? 6th graders, stand on up. Let's give these little guys a round of applause for being here all morning. And go ahead and take a seat. This is your this is your first year playing your instrument. Would you stand on up? If it's your first year playing, stand on up, first year players. Nice job. This is your second year playing, stand on up, second year players. And then, last but not least, one of the unique things about Castillero is the ability to do multiple levels. So we have several kids here that have auditioned throughout the year to join our 0 period orchestras. They do 0 period and also Indigo. If you're in both ensembles, would you stand up for all the hard work you've been doing? Okay, so we have 3 selections for you. This first one's called Afterburn, and it sounds like the title. It is just nothing but adrenaline all the way through until you reach the very top of our atmosphere and you sort of look and see the earth below you. There's a few moments where you can feel sort of the expansiveness of our planet, and then it goes right back in to the speed and energy of a fighter jet flying off of an aircraft carrier through the sky and landing back on Earth. This is Afterburn. Next up is Fanfare and Frippery. It's 2 movements in one piece. We'll do a little pause in the middle so you can clap your hands again. They can turn their pages. You'll hear the fanfare right off the top. They have this technique called a trill. It's very bright, it's very bold, it's very fun. They're learning how to do different time signatures as well as learning 16th notes, 8th note subdivisions, and managing accents on an up bow. It's a great teaching piece. This is Fanfare and Frippery. final selection. I want to make sure we thank, Castillero for allowing us to do these sort of wild events. We have over 200 students involved today, using 9 to 11 different classrooms around campus. We had, again, an army of volunteers who helped with setup last night after the spring dance. Spring dance team came in, cleaned up, we came in and set up. And this morning, again, we had volunteers helping with all the setup, all the arrangement, all the snacks, all the shirts. Then we have volunteers coming here in a moment to be chaperones for our kids. We have quite a team, quite a community, and it's led by our wonderful principal, Ms. Crystal Campbell, who comes to everything and makes sure that all the kids here on campus get the things that they need. Please a round of applause for Ms. Campbell. She understands the importance of the arts. She did very high-level ballet as she was growing up and knows the discipline it takes to be excellent on these things translates to all things in life, which is why we have them here at the school and why Castillero is so special. So grateful to her, grateful for our community for supporting that concept and that idea and seeing the product of these kids who are so focused, so diligent, and so capable. I want to make sure we thank our orchestra rep who may or may not be here because she's probably doing the next thing for the festival, but Sharon Ng has been our orchestra rep for 6 years. Her kids are graduating this year, and she said, I'm like, what's going to happen? She's like, well, I don't plan on stopping helping until you retire. I'm like, great. But she could always use more help. So if you'd like to be part of something really dynamic, I find that being a chaperone, going on these trips, doing these adventures, you make really great friends as adults with the people you do these things with. And so it's a nice way for us to feel connected and feel like we're part of this school. So volunteering, something that you'd like to do more of, we would love to speak to you, and Sharon would love to have all of that help. But thank you to her and to our chaperones, to our volunteers. It really does take a village, and this is quite spectacular to see all of this on stage, working with all these wonderful kids. We have one final selection for you. It's called Postcards from Russia, and we have these 3 different little vignettes, as Mr. Bowman mentioned, for the Zootopia, no, not Zootopia, Zoosters, Ryout, Zoosters, Zoo something, Zooquarium, Zooveniers, that's right, Zooveniers. Zooveniers. We have 3 little tunes that are smooshed together. It's about a 3-minute tune, and you're going to hear 3 different places that we go. If you're around my age and play Tetris, you'll also recognize it. Because one of the themes from Postcards from Russia is part of the Tetris video game, which is kind of a fun, nostalgic moment for all of us in our 20s. Okay, so here we are as our final selection, and then I'm going to tell you how we all get out of here safely, because it's going to be all hands on deck to keep the instruments safe, the kids happy, we're going to get them fed, we're going to send them to their chaperones, we're going to get this all cleaned up, because school's back on Monday. So here is our final selection, Postcards from Russia. The concert band has been so wonderful, you know, we kind of spill out the stage. This is what works with the risers and the percussion, but we know it's a little bit hard to see, so thank you to all those parents. All of our band students, please stand up and get a round of applause. Band students, stand up. And we're going to do just one more enthusiastic round of applause. Indigo and concert band, stand up to musicians.